How are special agreements used in armed forces law? In today's world, the role of special agreements in armed forces law is gaining attention. With ongoing conflicts and humanitarian crises, understanding these agreements is more important than ever. Viewers may be curious about how these arrangements impact the conduct of war and the protection of civilians. Special agreements in armed forces law refer to arrangements made between parties involved in armed conflict. These agreements modify or supplement the application of international humanitarian law, including the Geneva Conventions and the laws of armed conflict. They are designed to address specific situations or operational needs while ensuring compliance with the fundamental principles of international humanitarian law. One key purpose of special agreements is to clarify the application of the Geneva Conventions in particular contexts. This can involve defining the status of combatants or protected persons and specifying procedures for the treatment of prisoners of war. These clarifications help ensure that all parties involved understand their rights and responsibilities during conflict. Additionally, special agreements facilitate cooperation between conflicting parties on humanitarian issues. This can include the exchange of information about detainees, establishing safe zones for civilians, or arranging for the delivery of humanitarian aid. Such cooperation is vital in minimizing suffering and protecting those who are not participating in hostilities. Special agreements can also modify certain obligations or procedures within the limits allowed by international law. These modifications must not undermine the protection of civilians or those hors de combat, meaning those who are out of the fight. This flexibility allows parties to adapt their actions to the realities of armed conflict while still respecting legal norms. Moreover, these agreements ensure adherence to the principles of humanity and military necessity. They set practical rules that accommodate the realities of armed conflict while respecting the overarching legal framework. Special agreements often arise from negotiations between military or governmental authorities and may be formalized in writing or understood through practice. It is important to note that special agreements are recognized under the laws of war as valid instruments. They complement treaty obligations and must align with the overarching framework of international humanitarian law. This framework requires all belligerents to avoid unnecessary suffering and protect civilians and other non-combatants. In recent discussions around armed conflict, the role of special agreements has become increasingly relevant. As conflicts evolve, the need for clear guidelines and cooperation between parties is essential for maintaining humanitarian standards. Understanding how these agreements function can help individuals grasp the complexities of modern warfare and the ongoing efforts to protect human rights in times of conflict.